Keeping on, yeah.
Too soon to wake up, blue skies and makeup, more things to shake up, that's all you really got to know.
Hey everyone, it's Rob with 4 Songs. So, how's your new year going? Well, if you're in the DC area, you might be wondering how could things get worse? We just got pounded by a foot of snow that we weren't ready for. There are people on 95 going north and south who've been stuck there since Monday night. Imagine that. This is Tuesday night, so that's 24 plus hours. Some people, it's taken them 27 hours to get from Richmond to Washington. If you're lucky and actually made it, a lot of people just gave up because, who wants to be in their car for that long? It's kind of scary and dangerous and cold, and it's 95 for Pete's sakes. Anyway, you're not here to listen to me talk about snow or the weather or getting stuck on 95 or COVID for that matter. As you may know, DC for a while there was the highest city per capita for COVID rates. So yeah, 2022 is not off to a great start. And if you're one of those people who's just wondering, will things ever get better? What can I do to get there? I got the song for you. Kicking off this new year of 4 songs, singles, is my old friend Kevin Adkins from Franklin Gotham. If you remember Kevin, he was my second guest on this podcast way back in May 2020. That's going to be 2 years in a few months, which is just so hard to believe. Anyway, Kevin's band Franklin Gotham just released their newest EP called Blue Skies and Makeup. Their first single from that EP is called Keepin' On. It is the catchiest song, one of the catchiest songs I've ever heard. And to make a strange comparison to Kevin, when I talk about the song, it reminded me a bit of early 90s Big Guardian Dynamite and mid-2000s Wilco. Those two bands have very little in common, other than their production is just impeccable. You can listen to the same song over and over again and hear something new each time you hear it. And that, my friends, is what Keepin' On does. You hear it once and you think, that's a neat song, it's stuck in my head now, and I'm never going to get it out because it's so damn catchy. But you hear it again and you hear something that you didn't catch the first time. You hear a shimmer, you hear a voice, you hear something that you didn't hear the first or second or third time. Every time you listen to it, you hear something new. That is the mark of a great song. It's the mark of a great producer. And Kevin works with Jared Nicolai, his guitarist and producer, along with drummer Christopher Spike, who's Kevin has worked with for, 20 years, going back to the late 90s with his band Ice Wagon Flu. So Keeping On, as I said, it's a song for our times. It's a song about keeping your head down and just moving forward and the constant barrage of bad news. And I'm very pleased and very honored, and really this is a great way for me to kick off the year, a new year of podcasts, a new year of music. Keep on keeping on, folks. Please welcome Kevin Adkins to 4 Songs Singles.
How have you been? It's been a while.
Great, man. I've been doing well. It's this time of year, you always kind of start to wind down a bit and it gets darker earlier. It's a little depressing, but I just try to stay positive. Yeah, but doing well.
Yeah. Family, everyone's healthy. When I started this, a year and a half ago, it was the start of COVID, and we are still in the thick of it. Everyone good?
Yeah. Thankfully, the kids have all been able to get vaccinated, and, they're all teenagers now as of today. And
your band, Franklin Gotham, has been doing a lot of recording the last several months, and it seems like you maybe have kind of figured out how to do this in the time of COVID. How are things? You have the new EP we'll be talking a little bit about, Blue Skies and Makeup, but you've been busy. So.
Yeah. It was funny that you said that, because I just looked back when the new CDs came in. We actually had physical copies of the CDs printed. That was a question we were debating whether or not to do. But since we were doing a radio promotion, we decided to get them done, and only printed 300 this time. But when they came in, I pulled out all the other EPs that we've done, and we have 7 of them. So it's cool to just see the kind of anthology grow over the years. And it looks like we've done one every year, except for the year my wife was going through chemo with cancer and stuff. And so, yeah, you're right. It's been cool to keep up the work and keep producing, keep creating the music, even though, life is always changing and crazy. But Jared, he stopped recording for a while, or having people in. Obviously, we didn't know and how serious the pandemic was and all that. So we kept kind of just staying in touch, and we got together when we could, when things were better, and we both got vaccinated, and yeah, and then we haven't had to worry about Spike. He's been in Nashville the whole time and records the drums remotely. So yeah, it's been good.
Good. Yeah, I was wondering if he was still out. He's still in Nashville, so you all probably get together. How do you get together when you kind of you're writing these songs and patching them together? How does it work?
Jared and I usually get together initially. I'll come up with an idea for a tune and either record some voice memos at home or, put something very basic together here to get the idea across. And then we'll meet up at his house. He's got a home studio, which is now turned into a full-fledged business. He records 2 podcasts for some other podcast folks and does a lot of work with local bands and local artists. I know he's recorded some audiobooks there for other clients. So yeah, he's stayed busy. But so we'll go to his place and meet up, and that's when we really kind of hash out what the structure of the song is going to be, kind of the skeleton, the feel and vibe we want is worked out usually in that first initial session. And then we'll record something, even if it's just on our phones at the end of the night, and at least have something that we can go back and listen to and modify. And then we'll just keep working on that like every week, until we get something that we could send down to Spike to put drums onto. And we'll already have the arrangement and we'll have the like beats per minute. We'll know, we'll have an idea of how we want the drums and percussion to go, but we just give it to him and let him kind of take the reins from there.
So for this album in particular, the EP rather, did you have these songs, were they written within the past year or would you have a few of these before?
Yeah, these are all new. It's funny, like after the first couple EPs, like I ran out of like a backlog of stuff I wanted to write. I mean, there's still a few things that are always kind of, trickling back up, but these are all things that we wrote over this past year. I guess the Underbellies came out in 2000, and it's basically as soon as we finished that, we just started working on these. I had some ideas for the next couple of tunes, and we just got going right away.
So did the pandemic change any? I mean, obviously we talked there earlier about how just getting together, it took a while to kind of figure out how to do that safely, and then the vaccinations making things better. But did it put any sense of urgency in getting this out?
Well, I know like some of these songs, especially Keeping On, it's very much like pandemic inspired. So we kind of did want to get something out there sooner than later because, just the time, it's so timely and contemporary with what's going on in the world at the moment. And I kind of wanted it to be, positive like anthem that people could kind of keep in the back of their minds as they're trudging through this and all trying to figure out and determine the best way to live and create and, stay healthy during these crazy times.
Yeah, so we're here to talk about one song, Keeping On, which is part of this Blue Skies and Makeup 4-song EP that we're chatting about. And so you did this as part of the Save Our Stages benefit that we released this past summer, which again, perfect timeliness. But it's funny hearing the more produced version as it was. That one was an acoustic stripped down, which was awesome. But this one, it has the hallmark Franklin Gotham, the catchy, breezy chorus, the verses, and the shimmering production. It seems like once you hear it, it's just stuck in your head. And how does that? Do you have a secret? If you did, I guess you probably wouldn't share it. But how does that work?
Yeah, it's a secret formula. It's locked up in the vault like Coca-Cola. No, I don't know. I think just the secret is just being able to write and work with Jarrett. And I don't know. I've always been drawn to those earworm catchy songs, and when I feel like I have an idea for one, I just try to get it down before I forget it, before it's out of my head, and then we build from there.
Keeping on, yeah.
Too soon to wake up, blue skies and makeup, more things to shake up. That's all you really got to know. It's time I grow up, not enough to show up. Can't expect to blow up without grinding hands to the bone. Gotta keep keeping on, gotta keep rolling along.
But one thing that I had to mention, because I mentioned just how we had the acoustic version on the benefit, but this one is bells and whistles. And, this isn't probably the best comparison, but I was listening to it a few times and I was thinking with the subtle effects and background noises, it's almost like this is going to be a stretch. You may not agree with how I describe this, but it's almost like an early 90s Big Audio Dynamite song mixed with Wilco, A Ghost Is Born. Is that, it's kind of completely different, but when you listen to the way the production, the way the subtleness of it, and then the catchiness of the music, it's like, this just sounds like something really unique, but the influences are clearly there.
Yeah. I mean, I love both those bands. I didn't think Big Audio Dynamite when we were recording it, but yeah, I think Jared and I both, coming out of being products of the 90s and that whole music scene, always really appreciated those production nuances, those cool like sounds. We definitely were thinking about ways to make this chorus kind of dreamy and celestial in a way. And, we're thinking about like different types of synth sounds or bells or chimes or something that would kind of make it soar a bit. So yeah, that's definitely something we think about and also appreciate when we're listening to other bands that have those things that you don't hear the first or few listens through, and then you're like, oh man, that's why it sounds so cool, because you hear something you didn't hear before and you're like, yeah, that's the way to go. So
sometime I get right, early calls and late night, caffeine to daylight, burning life at both ends. Hold on, don't sit tight, gotta move to take flight, speak soft and step right back to where this all began. Gotta keep keeping on, gotta keep rolling along, gotta keep staying strong before you know our life is gone. Gotta keep keeping on, gotta keep humming a song, gotta keep pressing on, my time with you won't last.
It almost feels like, to me, it's kind of a love song, that part, and at times. And then there's some like self-reflection going on. But one thing I'm curious about is the lyrical structure, how compact everything is. I mean, how hard did it take you? How hard was this to write?
That's something I've been working on, and I think it's just over time and just getting older as both an artist and a musician or lyricist, just trying to strip back, take away the things that aren't needed, the extraneous stuff. And that seems to be even harder than, getting the initial words down on paper, because then you have to kind of start redacting and pulling away and saying like, what do I really mean here? Is there an easier way to say it? Can I simplify this word, or does it really need that additional and or even just like a better word to describe things more clearly, more visually. And so, yeah, that definitely does take some time. I usually have an idea for the chorus pretty set going into the initial writing sessions, but after we kind of come up with a structure, I really drill down into the verses. And then I don't know what the formula is, but Jared and I always seem to write the bridge last, like together, because we both feel that that's the moment where you kind of you take everything away and you're really telling the listener what this all means, or making sense out of everything you've presented, and that's kind of the culmination of the song in terms of meaning. And so that's kind of like the icing that we put on the cake last. We definitely wanted to like break it down. I think it goes into almost halftime there in terms of tempo, and we wanted to get that that kind of flowing waltz sense of a little bit of like Fairy Tale of New York or something that you'd hear the Pogues do.
Sometimes
so that was kind of the thought process behind like changing the music in the bridge to get that vibe and making it feel a little bit more intimate, because I think that's when the songwriter or me, in this case, is like speaking to someone is like an individual instead of like a message for the masses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, because even the lyrics are a little different too, and more, like you say, more directed toward someone, whereas before it kind of sounds like you're talking, kind of giving yourself a pep talk in a way.
Yeah. No, I was totally thinking about that. Like, after months into the pandemic, just like, God, what's the one thing that's going to like keep me going and keep it like, it just more, I think like when people struggle and are going through times of trial, it's easy to want to like turn away and give up and, distance yourself from people. But I just found a lot of solace and a lot of positivity and like putting my head down and like keep doing the work, like, stick to your routine, just keep going, even though you don't know what lies ahead.
Long days and late nights, hold on just in time. Gotta keep keeping on, gotta keep rolling along, gotta keep staying strong before you know our life is gone. Gotta keep keeping on, gotta keep humming a song, gotta keep pressing on. My time with you won't last long. I gotta keep keeping on, I gotta keep rolling along, I gotta keep staying strong before you know our life is gone. Gotta keep keeping on, gotta keep humming a song, we gotta keep pressing on. Our time together
Yeah. And especially when you get down and you feel like you can't get out and can't express yourself, and it gets very depressing and, somewhat lonely. And so I was thinking a lot about that too. Like, what can I say to people in this period of time to make them feel not so lonely and just give them some kind of hope by just pressing on and keeping a tune in their head and, not letting the situation of the world get them too down.
Well, I love it. How can folks get a copy of it?
I do have some physical copies, so if you're local, feel free to contact me. But yeah, it's on all the streaming services, obviously Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, all YouTube Music. We have a video out for it, and also the video of the acoustic version that we did for the benefit.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely check it out on any one of those platforms.
Yeah. So you said you did some radio spots, so you're doing a.
So we're doing a promotion for the EP, where we work with the Planetary Group, and they send it out to we send it out to 300 independent stations and college stations across the states, and just doing like a 6-week promotional campaign to kind of get it in the hands of the music directors that are putting together the playlists for the station. And yeah, we've been doing good so far. I think we're into week 4, and we were on 2 weeks in a row on WVIA's top 30 for their weeks, and a lot of the core stations have been picking it up, like in Milwaukee, and yeah, so it's going well. I'm glad to see it getting some traction and out there and being played a lot. And the local station WERA in Arlington has been spinning it a bunch, so it's awesome to have that like kind of local support too.
Yeah, cool. Well, that'll do it, I think. It's been great catching up with you. Anything, I know this just came out, but I do need to ask if there's anything new y'all are working on. Just while we're...
So yeah, so Spike, you were asking about coming together. He's flying up in January. He actually had a flight that got canceled during COVID, and he had to book something by November. He had some date in November. A friend of mine, his daughter is getting into audio and music production, and she's doing an apprenticeship or some kind of school training at Omega Studios in Maryland, and I think it's at Rockville. She asked if we'd want to record with her, as part of her like coursework, And so Spike's going to fly up, and we're going to do a couple songs with her there in the studio. So we're going to be working on an original that Jared and I have already started writing, and then we're going to be doing another cover tune. And she's got the big studio room, Studio A, and it's going to be recording on the big Neve board. And it should be cool because we've, up until now, it's all been like small studio, like piecemeal work. So it should be interesting. But, Jared and Spike have been recording for so long. It's like old hat to them, but I'll have a lot of fun, and it'll be fun working with someone that's new to music production.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, we look forward to hearing that when it comes out.
Yeah. Keep you posted. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you, Kevin, for joining me. And like I said, this is the song we need right now. So keep it on, everybody. I got more coming, so I'm going to be keeping on too. Like I said, I don't know how long I'm going to keep this going, but every time I say that, I get a bunch more. So who knows? So keep your head up, and thanks for listening. I'll talk to you soon.